Back, everyone, to a brand new video here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg, and today is the day that the nominations for the 2025 Academy Awards were released. So today I'm going to break down my thoughts, basically category for category, and let me know what I think could be front running, who could surprise people, snubs, surprises, things like that. So welcome back here to brand new videos. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. If you're new to the channel, I do movie, TV show reviews, box office shows, movie franchise rankings, and out-of-theater reactions. So if you like any one of those things, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell for notifications on this video. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on the 2025 Oscar nominations? Are you happy with them? Are you not happy with them? Are there some movies that should have been nominated at all or more? Or some movies that should have been nominated less? Any bold predictions for this year's Oscars? Let me know in the comments section down below. And also, please hit that thumbs up button, guys, to like video. So I said after the Golden Globes, when I did that video, that would be more in Oscar coverage. I had something personal come up, so I couldn't be fully in coverage, but now I'm back to being full coverage now for this Oscar race. And obviously, the Oscar nominations are out, so I'll be back following the big award shows like SAG, DGA, things like that, Critics' Choice, leading into my Oscars show the day after the Oscars. So today was the big Oscars nomination. It was revealed around 5:30 a.m. I'm sorry, they started at 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern in Dolby Theater, as always, in Hollywood. I used to wake up every morning, even when I lived in LA, to do the Oscar nominations, but I my mental health, I needed to sleep in today just a bit. So I woke up without even knowing, not going on social media, going straight to watch the 20-minute thing with Rachel Sennett and Bowen Yang, who did the nominations. So we're going to start broad, and then we're going to work category for category here. So what I mean broad is really there's one major storyline here for the most part that's taken over the awards race, and it really hammered home today at the Oscar nominations, which is Emilia Perez. They are the story of awards season. Emilia Perez picked up multiple major wins at the Golden Globes, which really opened people's eyes. It had the most nominations at the Golden Globes, and it had the most wins at the Golden Globes. And that made a lot of people who don't adore this movie very nervous for this day. And were they right? Because Emilia Perez not just got a lot of nominations, it got the second most nominations in the history of the Academy Awards with 13 nominations today, which ties it for second place with movies like Forrest Gump, Chicago, Fellowship of the Ring, and just last year's Oppenheimer. Or sorry, 2 years ago's Oppenheimer, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Oppenheimer had 13 nominations. Oppenheimer, just amazing that the 2024 Oscars had Oppenheimer win Best Picture and 13 nominations, and now that has the same amount of nominations as Emilia Perez. Now, I'm going to say this right away. There are a lot of people that, because this is not their favorite movie of the year, are just crapping all over it because it's been. I'll say this, in my opinion. I am someone who actually really enjoyed Emilia Perez, but is it in my top 5 movies that were nominated? No, I don't. I think 13 nominations was just way too much for this movie. And I'm someone who defended the movie when it came out on Netflix. I really enjoyed the film. I think it's definitely worthy to be a competitor throughout award season. But the problem here is not really, I guess, the movie's fault, but the awards show's fault, that they have put this movie on such a pedestal so far above any of the other films. That's where the pushback has been for me. Because as we go through right now, before we get into the category for category, and stay with me here, this could be a long video breaking down all these nominations, but it's one of my favorite days of the year, breaking down the Oscar nominations with people. So Emilia Perez led the way with 13 nominations. Wicked and The Brutalist tied for second with 10 nominations each. Conclave and A Complete Unknown tied for third place with 8 nominations apiece. Anora has 6, and then Dune Part 2 and The Substance has 5 nominations. That's kind of like the big top 5 for movies at this year's Academy Awards. And again, Emilia Perez, I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, and near like 70-80%. I really enjoyed Emilia Perez, but for it to be on such a pedestal above all these, again, in my opinion, really great movies. I mean, there are I'm going to double check my top 10 list of the year of 2024, which sometimes usually does not correlate with the actual Academy Awards. But this year, The Substance, Dune Part 2, The Brutalist, Wicked, Anora were all in my top 10 of the year. I wish Challengers got no nominations. That was shut out this year. Nosferatu had a lot of technical categories, but nothing major. And Inside Out 2 for me was in my top 10. That was nominated for Best Animated Feature. So a lot of these movies are in my top 10 of the year, but Emilia Perez is not. To be fully transparent, Emilia Perez is usually, it's in my like 20 to 25 range of the year. Really good movie, like excellent movie in my opinion, but it's not one of the best movies of the year. And it certainly isn't better than a lot of these movies in a lot of different categories. So I'm going to push back on the people who are just crapping on the movie to crap on the movie. I'm here pushing back because I do think there's more worthy movies that could have been spread out instead of Emilia Perez being checked by so many Oscar voters in all of the categories. So let's get started breaking down category for category. Starting off, let's start off. We're going to go low and, the kind of the, not bottom tier, but the most notable. We'll end with the best picture, for example. We'll start where we need to start. So visual effects is where we'll start today with the nominations. We're not going to go through category for category because I didn't see all the documentaries and shorts and stuff like that. So visual effects, the nominations were Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. This was the supposed five. The other movie would be Twisters. And it seemed like it was a battle between Romulus and Twisters, see who would get into that kind of fifth spot here for visual effects. But I'm very happy that Alien Romulus got in. Did not know it'd be a big enough movie to get in, but it certainly did. So this made perfect sense to me. Moving on to sound. It used to be sound mixing, sound editing. Now overall just one sound category to stop confusing many people. A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot were nominated here. I was really happy to see The Wild Robot nominated outside of just being Best Animated Film. Animated films really struggle in awards season by just being an animated movie. They just never get nominated outside of if it's a song or if they're an animated movie, they just kind of get put in that category. So it was a really strong thing for the Academy to do to have at least The Wild Robot get one technical award. Because again, sound, production design, cinematography are also very important in animation, but obviously, sadly, these award shows just don't judge them equally. Excuse me on that. I've moved on to production design. This is one of my favorite categories as usual. The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. These were easily the five, in my opinion, that should have been nominated. This is a really competitive category as well. Just gorgeous films, in my opinion, all five of them. So not particularly sure who has the front runner there, but I find that to be a really fascinating category as we get closer to awards season, starting closer to the Oscars. International feature had I'm Still Here, The Girl with the Needle, Emilia Perez, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, and Flow. Flow, obviously, as I'll talk about in a second, was nominated for Best Animated Film, but everyone thought that would just be it for Flow. But it also got in for Best International Feature, which surprised many people. Then Girl with the Needle from Denmark was the surprise here in international feature. Again, I don't really watch all these movies. I'll try to watch as many of them before the Oscars come out. Before I do my full prediction show a week or so before the Oscars are, hit in March. But Emilia Perez seems like a lock here to win this category. Documentary short and documentary features. I don't really watch tons of documentaries, so that's not my expertise. Moving on to original song, which this year for the first time, no songs from these nominated songs, which are usually performed at the Academy Awards, are not being performed this year. So we'll have no kind of that music element. Usually each year, every nominated song gets a performance at the show, and then it wraps up after the fifth one's done. They do that award. This year, it will not. So you have El Mal and Mi Camino from Emilia Perez. You have the Elton John song from his documentary. You have Like a Bird from Sing Sing. And the casual, as always, Diane Warren song from the Six AAA. Whenever she has a song, it gets nominated. Couple big snubs here. The song in Challengers was not nominated, as well as the Miley Cyrus song in The Last Showgirl, as well as the Maren Morris song from The Wild Robot. So this was a heavy snub category here. But again, I'm not someone who needs these songs to be performed. So I'm called cool. Hopefully it means less talking, and more getting into the actual awards at this year's Oscars. Moving on to Best Original Score, the nominees were The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Major snub here, maybe the biggest of the day, really for me, the second biggest snub of the day, which was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Challengers being snubbed. They were not just favorites to get a nomination, but they seemed like the front runners to win the Academy Award, and now here they are not even being nominated. I think Challengers was the best score of 2024. And instead, Emilia Perez and Wicked, for me, I'm not the biggest fan when musicals get in for score, because obviously the scores are they still hire composers and do their own scores, but they're also leitmotifing a lot of the songs. So I'm never really that big of a fan when musicals get in for score, especially when most of the movie is more song than score. So I'm really disappointed the Academy went with both musicals getting in at score and a movie like Challengers, and not even allowing Dune Part 2 to be even shortlisted this year, is extremely disappointing. Score is one of my favorite parts of a movie. I listen to scores on a daily basis. I hum scores on a daily basis. If you know me, I love movie scores. And I wish that I would say true movie scores, the movies that were completely done by score, got a chance this year. And it seemed like they went with the musical route this year, which was very disappointing. Moving on to, we'll skip live action short film, makeup and hairstyling. The nominees were A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked. So again, I don't get Emilia Perez being nominated for makeup and hairstyling. Again, I like Emilia Perez, but there's some categories it just shouldn't be nominated, and this is one of them. You're not watching Emilia Perez saying, God, the makeup and hairstyling, Emilia Perez is so good. Like you're not really thinking about that. Obviously, it makes sense for A Different Man, Nosferatu, The Substance, and Wicked to be on this chart, but the other one I don't understand. I would rather even done Beetlejuice 2 than this movie. Film editing, which is one of the most essential parts of what makes a movie a movie. The nominees were Anora, which was done by director Sean Baker, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and Wicked. Dune Part 2 being omitted from film editing was a crime. I mean, that is one of the most perfectly edited movies of 2024. Again, Emilia Perez, not a category I think it should have been nominated for. It was editing. Even The Brutalist, which is in my top 10 of the year, the movie's nearly like 4 hours long. It's tight, but it still feels long. And that's in my top 10 of the year and one of my favorite movies of the year. I wish a movie like Challengers or Dune Part 2 could have snuck into this category. Costume design went to a complete unknown. Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. This was Gladiator 2's lone Oscar nomination this year. Heading into that release date, boy, was it seemed like Gladiator 2 was going to be a major contender in award season, as the first film nearly 20 years ago won Best Picture. And it's like Denzel Washington would be a front runner for supporting actor, and this movie would be all over award season, but it has really mellowed out really the moment the movie came out, and the movie just was not even in the same ballpark as the original film. And that lighted the momentum of it to a point where now it got one nomination at this year's Oscars, and that was for costume design. Cinematography, which is, again, one of my favorite categories and one of my favorite elements of a film. The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu were nominated here. The big omission in this category was Conclave, which is easily one of the most gorgeous films of the entire year, and it was extremely well shot. Honestly, my two major takeaways for Conclave in a positive way was the filmmaking from Edward Berger and the cinematography for that movie. And those are actually the two elements of the movie that were not nominated at the Oscars. So that's my WTF moment is Conclave, again, very similar. I feel the same way about Conclave on like a like scale that I like Emilia Perez. But Conclave, I thought got robbed in cinematography and director, which we'll get to later. Going to animated feature, the nominees were Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. This has been the 5 throughout awards season. Thankfully, Moana 2 was not nominated. I think this is a third consecutive year that a Disney animated film was not nominated at the Oscars. You had Strange World, Wish, and Moana 2 all not get nominated at the Academy Awards. Disney's only representation here is from Pixar, which is Inside Out 2. Another movie that I wish got some more love animated wise was Piece by Piece, that Pharrell Lego biopic. I really enjoyed that movie, but sadly, didn't seem like many people saw it, so it did not make its way into this chart. Now let's move into the major categories here. Original screenplay, the nominees were Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance, really competitive category. Here, Coralie Farge has been, and The Substance is making an impact on people. We'll see if The Substance, Jesse Eisenberg nominated for A Real Pain. You have Sean Baker for Anora. Really competitive category here. With Brady Corbet for The Brutal, seemingly a lock for Best Director, it would be kind of nice to see another film get recognized here in Best Original Screenplay. To Best Adapted Screenplay, the nominees were A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Hopefully I'm getting all of those correct, and I did. So Sing Sing made its major impact here in a lead actor, but again, A24 completely dropped the ball. I can't find a way to watch this movie unless I don't have screeners, so I can't find a way to watch this movie. Seems like many people couldn't find a way to watch the movie either, and it just did not work out for them this award season. But it does seem like this could be, sadly, another maybe Emilia Perez win, or this they could reward A Complete Unknown, who got many nominations today. Going into the acting categories, actress in a supporting role, the nominees were Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Ariana Grande for Wicked, and Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. The surprise here was both Monica Barbaro and Felicity Jones, both getting in for their respective performances. Grande, Rossellini, and Saldana seemed like the three people who were absolute locks. But you had people like Jamie Lee Curtis, Danielle Detweiler become major factors throughout awards season in this category. I'm really happy for both Barbaro and Felicity Jones. I think Felicity Jones is the best part of the second half of The Brutalist. So I'm really happy that she got her nomination. And I've also thought Monica Barbaro was extremely underrated in how good she was in A Complete Unknown. Obviously, Chalamet is on a whole other level in that movie, but I thought she really held her own against Chalamet in many scenes in that film. So she was easily my other acting standout in that film. So happy to see her on this list. I did not see The Last Showgirl, so I don't have like a major gripe with not having Jamie Lee Curtis on this list. And I also didn't see The Piano Lesson, but another year where it seemed like Danielle Detweiler was going to be primed for a nomination, but another year like her when she was for Till that she did not get in. Actor in a supporting role were the five we mostly expected. Yor Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. It did seem like this was going to be the five. The other person was Clarence Macklin, who also wrote the screenplay for Sing Sing, was getting a lot of praise for his performance in Sing Sing. But as we've been saying throughout this whole video here, this was not Sing Sing's year. The marketing behind it and the promotion of the movie was done horribly by A24, did a complete disservice, and that did not help Clarence Macklin. Guy Pearce and Strong were, I guess, the quasi people who could not get into this race, people thought, but people obviously loved The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong's work in The Apprentice seemed undeniable from the moment the movie released. Leading performances now in actress, you had Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Fernanda Torres gets into the race. She won the Golden Globe, which shocked a lot of people, but I'm Still Here shocked many people, as not just did Torres get in for lead actress, but the movie got in for Best Picture. So this is now one to watch for us cinephiles over the next couple months leading into the Oscars. Some notable snubs: Angelina Jolie for Maria, Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, and Nicole Kidman for Baby Girl. All are not nominated. It seemed like Kidman was like a frontrunner to win this award back in the fall, festival season. But then, boy, has that movie really mellowed off here in the last couple of months, and no one's really talking about that movie anymore. This is a wide open category here. Unlike, it feels like supporting actresses Dennis Saldana and Grande, Kieran Culkin looks like he has wrapped up supporting actor. Lead actress is wide open. Demi Moore won at the Golden Globes. While it feels like Mikey Madison has been the hopeful favorite throughout awards season, but we'll see how it does, how we see it at BAFTA, Critics' Choice, and SAG to see if there's any clear front runners to win this award. But it's always fun not knowing who wins some of these major awards. Actor in a leading role was Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan getting his first Academy Award nomination for The Apprentice. He was up for both The Apprentice and A Different Man. He was nominated for both those performances at the Globes, but lost in drama for The Apprentice, but won in musical or comedy for A Different Man. But it ends up that The Apprentice performance got him in here at the Oscars. A really great year for Sebastian Stan, who basically got the only, I guess, snub who was a factor in awards season was Daniel Craig for Luca Guadagnino's Queer. But both Guadagnino movies this year got zero Oscar nominations. Director, Jack Odion for Emilia Perez, Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Corley Fargeau for The Substance, and James Mangold getting in for A Complete Unknown. The biggest snub of the day is Edward Berger not making the cut for A Complete Unknown. Making the cut for Conclave. Edward Berger was nominated for All Quiet on the Western Front a couple years ago, and he's like a lock to make this category. But James Mangold has been a hardworking filmmaker for 20 years, did films like Logan, Ford versus Ferrari, Walk the Line. He gets in, so clearly the Academy really loved A Complete Unknown, and it seems like all the momentum for Conclave has kind of disappeared here heading into awards day, the Oscar nominations day. And also, once again, knew he wasn't going to make it, but still pissed off. Denis Villeneuve continues to get snubbed at the Academy Awards. He was not nominated for Best Director for both Dune films. He also, if I'm not mistaken, did not make the cut for Arrival back in those award day. He is one of our 3 or 4 best filmmakers living on planet Earth today. And if I'm not mistaken, he has not been nominated ever for Best Director. This has to change. He is too good. And no offense to a lot of these directors, but they're just not on the level of the work that Denis did for Dune Part 2. So I don't understand why Dune Part 2, Dune Part 1 got 10 nominations for its Oscar race. This Dune Part 2 got only 5. So I don't understand. Dune Part 2 is a better movie, and it got half the nominations. I don't get it. So now wrapping things up, long video, sorry guys. Best Picture went to Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. So a couple surprises. Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here made the list. September 5 was a supposed lock to get nominated for Best Picture, but it only got 1 nomination today, and that was in Screenplay. So everyone's saying September 5 was going under the radar. It went 2 under the radar as it missed the cut. Also, Sing Sing, as I said, lost all momentum if it had any momentum, as it was not nominated as well for Best Picture. So right now, not really sure who will officially win Best Picture. It does feel like Wicked, The Substance, The Brutalist, Emilia Perez, and Anora seem like the 5 movies that have like a legit shot to win Best Picture. It does seem like A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys are kind of out of this race to win. But we shall see. This was it. As always, it never lets you down, the Academy Award nominations. You are pumped for a lot of projects, and you're also pissed off for a lot of other people who did not get nominated. That's the nominations. That's why this is a fun thing to cover on a yearly basis. But I'm not done. I'll be covering when the SAG Awards happen, when the Critics' Choice happen. I'll break down the winners, the losers, what they mean for the Oscars. A week before the Oscars, sorry, the week of the Oscars, I will give my predictions for each category, basically filling my ballot out with you guys. And then the day after, the Monday after the Academy Awards, I will do my full breakdown on the winners, the losers, the surprises, my review of the show overall. Thanks for joining me on this long video breaking down the 2025 Oscar nominations.